Welcome back to Uprising. I'm Sonali Kohatkar. There was a time when activists were singing the death knell for ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. The conservative organization, which brings together heads of corporations with state lawmakers to push model legislation, had begun hemorrhaging members. Nearly 100 companies like Walmart, Coca-Cola, Amazon, General Electric, and Google had cut ties with ALEC. But now ALEC is back. Its annual meeting, held in Washington, D.C. this week, is likely focusing on how best to capitalize on big Republican wins in the Senate. Now that more than 30 states out of 50 have Republican-dominated legislatures, and 24 of them with Republican governors, the time couldn't be better for ALEC to push its pro-corporate agenda. Among ALEC's targets is the Environmental Protection Agency, which Republicans have long taken aim at. One environmentalist told the press that ALEC's meeting agenda looked like a, quote, wish list for dirty energy companies. My guest is Brendan Fischer. He is the General Counsel with the Center for Media and Democracy. Welcome to Uprising, Brendan.
Thanks for having me.
So first, how seriously have the midterm elections impacted ALEC, and has it really given it a new lease on life?
Yeah, I think that's right. So ALEC has had a really difficult few months. A number of major tech companies have dropped their ALEC membership, including Google and Yahoo and Yelp. And it's been bleeding corporate members over the past 2 years since the Center for Media and Democracy launched ALECexposed.org in 2011. We know that ALEC closed 2013 with a $1.2 million shortfall, which was a significant drop from its grants and contributions from the previous year. But these November elections were wave elections for Republicans, not only on the federal level, but also on the state level. And Republicans now hold 2/3 of state legislatures across the country. And in many cases, the new leadership, the House and Senate majority leaders, are ALEC members. We did an analysis, and it appears that the majority of new leadership in these Republican-held chambers are ALEC members. So there's little standing in the way of the ALEC agenda, of the bills that are being discussed at this week's meeting. There's little standing in the way of these being rolled through in the state houses in these coming months. So when legislators sit down with lobbyists at these meetings here in D.C. this week, they're going to be laying the groundwork for what we're probably going to be seeing happen in these coming months with these new Republican majorities.
And just to be clear for our audience, we're talking here about a state-by-state approach that corporations take to get model legislation passed. They may craft a template bill and have their friends in a Republican legislature in a state push it through, and then that same bill in a slightly different form, or sometimes exactly same form, might pop up in another state. We're not talking about the U.S. Senate and the Republican control of the U.S. Senate and the House on a federal level, which President Obama might have some power to veto. We're talking about state-by-state legislation that all you need is a Republican-controlled assembly and state senate, if that's what they're called in that particular state, and a Republican governor to sign off, and there you have it. It becomes law in that state.
Yeah, that's right. And what I think is really significant about ALEC is that corporations and corporate lobbyists actually get a vote. So the way that ALEC process works, a legislator or a corporate lobbyist brings a bill to these ALEC meetings that they want to have adopted as a model, and corporate lobbyists get an equal vote with legislators on ALEC's adoption of a particular model bill. And in many cases, that's really all the debate that's going to happen, because when the legislators bring the bill back to their state, even if citizens or people who might be affected by the legislation rise up and testify against it and try and urge legislators to make changes, in many cases that doesn't happen. In these states where you've had complete Republican control, the legislation rolls through unchanged and unamended. So what's happening at these ALEC meetings in many cases is really going to be the only debate that's going to happen around the bill, if there's any debate at all.